Standing at the airport, eagerly anticipating our honeymoon, I reached into my bag to grab the ticket holder, following my partner's earlier advice. Suddenly, my husband forcefully took the plane ticket from my grasp and harshly said, "You're not worth it. I should have gone with someone else." He then hurried off towards another woman. Watching him leave, a secretive smile formed on my face, and I calmly took out my phone. It was time to follow the plan I had in mind. My name is Stephanie Deborah. Since graduating from college, I've been employed at a trading company in Los Angeles. Now at 31, my husband, Kevin, also 33, works as a journalist for a publishing house. We first met during a college seminar where I didn't have much ambition for my future career. However, Kevin was different, full of dreams and aspirations to become a reporter. His ambition was infectious. We often ran into each other at seminars, and over 3 years, our casual talks turned into something more. By the time we were graduating, I couldn't bear the thought of parting ways. Thanks to Kevin's initiative, we began dating and moved in together 3 years post-graduation. At 29, we decided to get married, albeit without a wedding ceremony or honeymoon, which disappointed our parents. For me, taking extended leave was simple. But Kevin, always committed to his work, found it difficult to do the same. Our life was marked by milestones, and I often wondered about the importance of celebrating these moments. Kevin, always chasing stories, believed weddings were a personal choice, unlike funerals. His job demanded his attention day and night, and he was thrilled to join the editorial department of his desired weekly magazine 2 years before our marriage. His dedication meant our apartment was often a mess, and living together was partly my attempt to manage the chaos. I was the one who found and signed our apartment lease, with Kevin only specifying his preferences for the location, rent, and size. We shared rent and living expenses, though he occasionally forgot to contribute. I took care of the cleaning and laundry, and despite living together, we seldom spent quality time with each other. Our decision to officially tie the knot was driven by my desire to keep him close, even if it meant just going through the motions. For Kevin, a wedding ceremony might have seemed unnecessary, but for me, it represented a significant, symbolic milestone. I hoped for at least some photographs, and a modest honeymoon to commemorate our union. Instead of the support I hoped for, all I received was, "Why bother with pictures? If you want to travel, why not go with your friends? I don't have time for that." Many of my college buddies from the same seminar thought it wasn't fair, but those who understood the demands of his job would say, "It can't be helped." 2 years have flown by, and now at 31, the topic of starting a family is on my mind. However, Kevin and I are like ships passing in the night, hardly finding a moment to talk about anything meaningful. My days blur into a cycle of rushing to work and tackling endless chores at home, leaving me to wonder why we got married in the first place. Then, unexpectedly, Kevin brought up the idea of a honeymoon. "Hey Stephanie, didn't you once say you wanted to go on a honeymoon?" Surprised by his sudden interest, I replied, but his casual dismissal of my excitement was disheartening. Despite his tone, I took note of the 2 weeks he mentioned we could take off during the summer, thinking a cooler destination might be pleasant. Oregon came to mind. I eagerly gathered travel guides, marking potential spots to visit, and presented them to Kevin, hoping for a collaborative decision. Yet, his indifferent, "You choose, I'm fine with anything," left me feeling uneasy. Maybe expecting him to share in the excitement was too much, considering his hectic life. But it was our honeymoon, a significant event I wished to plan together. Our lives, despite years of cohabitation, rarely intersect. Reflecting on our relationship, I realized our conversations had dwindled to non-committal responses from Kevin, like "do whatever you want" or "I'll let you handle it." This pattern extended to household chores, which he often left to me, despite once advocating for equal responsibility in college. His words, "In today's age, couples should both earn and share household chores," had once impressed me. True, he occasionally cooks for himself, leaving evidence in the kitchen, but all other tasks fall on my shoulders. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, and even taking out the trash are my domain. Kevin's presence at home has become increasingly rare, and our interactions even rarer. The gap between us widens daily, leaving me to ponder the essence of our partnership and the longing for a connection that seems to have faded over time. Occasionally, we manage to share a meal together, which feels like a small victory in our routine. However, even during these rare moments, Kevin's attention is divided, his eyes frequently darting to his phone resting on the table. As soon as we finish eating, he retreats to the living room, engrossed in social media, leaving me to tidy up alone. One day, frustrated by his apparent disinterest, I remarked on his constant texting. His reply was curt, suggesting his communications were essential for work, a point I couldn't entirely dispute, given his often unguarded phone during showers or naps on the couch. My curiosity got the better of me one day, leading me to glance at his phone. I discovered messages to a woman named Carolyn, which seemed more personal than professional. Confronting a half-asleep Kevin with this discovery, he explained she was connected to his current work project, brushing off my concerns about the frequency of their exchanges. His defense centered on the necessity of maintaining professional relationships, yet I couldn't shake my unease. As our departure loomed, Kevin reminded me to finalize our plans and pack our bags, hinting he might be caught up until the last 5 minutes due to his work. This incident lingered in my mind until the morning of our trip, when Kevin unexpectedly woke up early, surprisingly chipper, and even attempted to make breakfast. His effort, although comprising store-bought items and slightly underdone bacon, was so out of character that it left me suspicious. Yet, I chose not to comment, focusing instead on the day ahead. He complimented my packing but didn't bother to check the contents of the luggage, insisting it could wait. We made our way to the airport, our tickets confirming Oregon as our destination. We were looking forward to exploring the state's diverse landscapes. Nearing the boarding gate, Kevin reminded me to have my boarding pass ready, only to abruptly declare the futility of traveling together, snatching the tickets from my hands in a sudden, confusing act of dismissal. This unexpected turn of events, juxtaposed with the earlier semblance of normalcy, underscored the growing disconnect and complexity within our relationship. "I should be with someone else," he declared, swiftly moving toward the boarding gate. Ahead, there stood a woman, unmistakably Carolyn, matching the photo I had seen on his phone. With a discreet smirk, I pulled out my own phone, ready to proceed as planned. Hours later, I found myself in an Oregon airport, making my way to a renowned pastry shop located in a dessert corner on the second floor. I knew Kevin and Carolyn were enjoying their time at the Eden Space. Walking in confidently, I spotted them indulging in an exclusive airport sundae. Upon seeing me, Kevin's expression turned ashen, a dollop of ice cream adorning his lip. "Stephanie, what are you doing here?" he stammered, taken aback. At that moment, Carolyn leaped towards me, engulfed by fear. I comforted her with a gentle touch, all the while fixing Kevin with a critical gaze. "Why am I here? Did you really think I wouldn't find a way? Any journalist worth their salt should know the basics of flight schedules," I chided. Just then, a commanding voice filled the space, causing Kevin's discomfort to intensify. "Why is the editor here?" he murmured under his breath. The man, known to us as Mr. George, the chief editor of Kevin's department, had once celebrated our marriage with a dinner invitation. As Mr. George approached, gripping Kevin's arm, Carolyn clung to me for support, bewildered by the unfolding events. Kevin's attempts to reach Carolyn were thwarted by Mr. George's firm intervention, his frustration evident. We made our way to a special room reserved on the 3rd floor, greeted by a man who waved enthusiastically at us. Kevin's shock was palpable upon recognizing his father among the group. "Come on, why are you hesitating?" I prodded. "You left me behind, so I thought, why not invite everyone? Let's make it a family trip," I suggested, turning the tables on Kevin's plans. Mr. George, with a mix of seriousness and amusement, began to lead Kevin away. "It's all right," he assured, signaling the start of an unexpected family gathering that would forever change the dynamics of our relationship. This twist of events highlighted the consequences of Kevin's actions and set the stage for a memorable trip that none of us would soon forget. In a hushed tone, I conveyed our plan to Carolyn, who gave a knowing nod. "Apologies for the delay, dear in-laws," I began, with a slight jest. "We've successfully captured Kevin, a man who thought a honeymoon with another woman was a good idea. Quite the catch, don't you think?" The room filled with a mix of surprise and agreement, especially when it was revealed that Kevin had used my money for his escapade. The gathering wasn't just limited to the in-laws. My own parents were present, along with another man distinguished by his suit and glasses. Curiosity arose about his identity, which was soon clarified as he introduced himself as a lawyer. handing Kevin his business card. This unexpected introduction stemmed from a request made by both Carolyn and me, much to Kevin's confusion. Kevin's attempt to reach out to Carolyn was thwarted as she skillfully avoided his touch, expressing her discomfort with the situation. Despite Kevin's apologies, it was clear his actions had overstepped boundaries, leading to a misunderstanding of his professional relationship with Carolyn. As the conversation unfolded, Mr. George, Kevin's boss, intervened, expressing his disapproval of Kevin's behavior and the unnecessary stress it caused Carolyn. The lawyer then presented evidence of Kevin's persistent and unwelcome attempts to maintain contact with Carolyn, including invitations to dinner that she had declined. Kevin's defense, citing common courtesy and admiration for Carolyn's courage, fell flat as the evidence mounted against him, including messages that bordered on harassment and photographs that suggested stalking. The revelation of his actions left everyone in shock, especially Carolyn, who confirmed her discomfort and decision to report Kevin's behavior as stalking. Carolyn's testimony revealed the extent of Kevin's intrusive behavior, highlighting his refusal to respect her boundaries and the distress it caused her. Despite Kevin's justification of his actions as friendly gestures, the evidence suggested otherwise, leading to a unanimous condemnation of his actions. This confrontation served as a turning point, exposing the consequences of Kevin's actions and the collective support for Carolyn's decision to seek justice. The presence of family, the lawyer, and Mr. George underscored the seriousness of the situation, marking a decisive moment in addressing Kevin's unacceptable behavior. With a light-hearted chuckle, I thumbed through the voluminous printout, acknowledging Carolyn's bravery and initiative in documenting everything. "It's been quite the ordeal, hasn't it?" I mused, appreciating her courage in facing such unnerving circumstances. Carolyn visibly tensed, recounting the unsettling experience. How could anyone interpret those messages as affection? They were downright creepy, she confessed, her discomfort palpable. The conversation then shifted to the meticulously crafted plan that had led us to this juncture. Despite the gravity of the situation, Kevin seemed oblivious to the implications of his actions, particularly regarding the airline ticket, a detail that caught him off guard when Mr. George hinted at its legal ramifications. The realization that misuse of the ticket could lead to criminal charges seemed to dawn on him for the first time, as Mr. George and I made it clear that any fallout would squarely land on him. Mr. George's intervention escalated the matter, presenting Kevin with an ultimatum that tied his future actions to potential legal consequences. The mention of a sudden assignment in the Japan served as a stark reminder of the seriousness of his situation. When Kevin expressed concern about his lack of preparation, I handed him his passport, followed by a more profound request to sign the divorce papers I extended toward him. The revelation of divorce struck Kevin with the weight of his misdeeds, highlighting the extent to which his actions had undermined our marriage. My laughter, though brief, underscored the absurdity of his claim to being the sole provider, contrasting sharply with the reality of our domestic life, where the burden of household responsibilities and financial contributions fell predominantly on me. Kevin's feeble attempts to justify his financial management crumbled under scrutiny, especially when confronted with evidence of his extravagant spending. The solemn act of signing the divorce papers marked the end of our marital ties, with his signature sealing the decision amidst a mix of regret and realization. As Mr. George escorted Kevin away, the choice of our meeting place on the third floor, rather than the more spacious lounge below, symbolized a departure from conventional paths, reflecting a newfound resolve and independence. This moment wasn't just about ending a marriage. It was about reclaiming autonomy, setting the stage for a future unburdened by the shadows of past mistakes. Choosing the third floor for our rendezvous was strategic, as it houses the international terminal, facilitating Kevin's swift departure to Tokyo. The aftermath of his journey wasn't my concern. Subsequently, I transitioned from our shared condominium to a cozy apartment suited for solitary living. The reduction in space was a small price for the peace of mind that came with knowing every corner of my new home was truly mine, free from the burdens of catering to an unpredictable partner. Tasks like grocery shopping and housekeeping became simpler and more enjoyable, highlighting the unnecessary complications that had filled my life with Kevin. My relocation expenses, along with the unpaid rent and bills left by Kevin, were generously covered by my father-in-law, who, along with my mother-in-law, expressed regret over their son's upbringing. About a month into my new chapter, Mr. George contacted me with news of Kevin's misadventures abroad, leading to his arrest under circumstances that remained unclear to me. Whether it was a misstep or a gamble gone wrong, Kevin's pursuit of a story had evidently led him astray, leaving his return in doubt. In the midst of navigating these turbulent waters, I reconnected with Carolyn at a cafe. Our mutual anticipation for a concert we had planned to attend together was a refreshing change of pace. Sharing a love for the same musician, we found solace and excitement in our shared passion, a stark contrast to the isolation and challenges that had characterized my married life. As we sipped our coffee and discussed the evening ahead, I was reminded of the simple joys and connections that life offers beyond the confines of a troubled relationship. Attending the concert with Carolyn marked a celebration of new beginnings and reclaimed happiness. The music, the crowd, and the shared experience were stark reminders of the world outside the shadows of my past with Kevin. Rediscovering these moments of joy and camaraderie reaffirmed my decision to move forward, embracing the freedom to enjoy life, hobbies, and friendships on my own terms. This newfound independence and the support of friends like Carolyn filled me with gratitude for the choices that led me here, away from the turmoil and towards a brighter, more fulfilling path.